The odds
My
of
mom
that.
says hi.
3, 2.
Hello, everybody.
Take it away,
Welcome to
Pat.
C109, the Sports Hub. I'm Pat Fortuna.
I'm Jared Colbert.
And I'm Joe Cautela.
We're here today to talk about the NBA draft, an exciting NBA draft it was. We are going to talk about its repercussions, its aftermath, what's happening around the NBA.
And what might pan out from all these selections. All right, so first of all, anything interesting that you guys picked up just from watching it?
From the draft?
From the draft, yeah.
I'm surprised but not shocked that we picked Jayson Tatum. The Boston Celtics picked Jayson Tatum.
Okay, so we'll jump right into that.
No, we're not. Let's.
Okay.
I'm just giving my thoughts right now.
All right.
Let's say that we have not surprised Josh Jackson was picked fourth.
Mhm.
I am, however, surprised that Malik Monk went 11th for
Right.
the Charlotte Hornets. I expected him to be a higher pick. The first 5 picks were exactly as they could have been expected to be. But overall, it was a pretty wild card draft after the first 5 or 10 picks. And I think that there's actually a good amount of talent in the second round too, which is unusual.
I think one of the, not really biggest standout, but one of a big standout to me was the Knicks drafting Frank. I can't even pronounce his last name.
Me neither. But
Frank. He's from France.
the French guy.
Yeah, which was a very bold pick because he was not projected to go within the first 10 players.
Well, I mean, it worked for them with
Porzingis.
Porzingis. I forgot his name for a second. So I guess they're thinking, why not again? I mean, he was a point guard from France. Dennis Smith Jr., another point guard, went right after him. So I guess they could have selected him, but I guess they just saw more talent in his overseas skills.
Phil Jackson, the general manager of the Knicks.
Very controversial guy.
Yes, that was a very interesting pick in that case. Not that many people are too happy about it.
Also, I'm surprised Frank Mason III went all the way not deep into the second round, but he was like he was the 4th pick in the second round, which I was surprised by that.
NBA news coming in.
Oh, just coming in, Jaylen Brown, all-rookie second team.
That's pretty
Jaylen
good.
Brown of the Boston Celtics.
He just made the
Backup
all-rookie.
small forward. Impressive. He did have an unbelievable season, which
He was-
Well, it was very believable. It wasn't.
I mean, but
He wasn't great.
for a bench
Well,
player,
he was good. Yeah, he was a
for
good
a bench player, he was
bench role.
he's not starter worthy, but he's a very good bench
All right,
player.
we have
Who else made? Who made the
I can-
all-rookie team first?
Okay, so hold on, I have it right here. The NBA first rookie team, Malcolm Brogdon of Milwaukee.
Okay.
The names are cut off here, but from Philadelphia, the Saric guy, whatever his first name is,
Dario Saric.
Joel Embiid,
Yeah.
Buddy Hield, and Willie Hernan Gomez from New York were the All-NBA first team. Brogdon and Saric were unanimous. The second team, Jamal Murray from Denver, Jaylen Brown, Marquise Christ, Brandon Ingram, and Yogi Ferrell were second team.
I'm
All-NBA second team.
surprised that Brandon Ingram was put on the second team. I think that he's a stronger player than that.
But he didn't really have that good of a year.
But he played for the Lakers.
Yeah, sure. But, again, he didn't have that good of a year. It doesn't matter what team you're on. If you had a crappy year, you had a crappy year.
True. But also Joel Embiid on the first team is
He received 82 first-place votes.
wow.
Oh, wow.
Sacramento Kings guard
see
Buddy
it.
Hield does not surprise me at all. He's a very strong player.
He was very good.
He was one of the big staples of the Sacramento Kings the past year.
Past half year.
But yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me. Anyways, back to the NBA draft. Sorry, we got a little distracted there, folks. We have
Breaking news. We broke that news.
We
That's
broke
exciting.
that news
Technically.
after ESPN broke it to us. But
To the Hudson market, we were first.
anyways, Jared, So, what are your opinions on the first 10 picks of the NBA draft?
So first 10 picks, obviously, once Philadelphia traded for that first pick, it was Markelle Fultz going first, Lonzo Ball going second. There are some people that are saying Lonzo Ball was going to fall to fifth, but no way were the Lakers passing up on that. And then I was, again, surprised, not shocked at Jayson Tatum over Josh Jackson, because I was expecting Josh Jackson. They were trying to get him to work out with the Celtics. It didn't work, but I didn't think that would have deterred them from selecting him. And so the only question I really have is, if they knew they were going to get Jayson Tatum, why were they working out Josh Jackson, after the fact, after the trade?
Well, I think that it wasn't a said and done deal. I think that it was between Josh Jackson and Jayson Tatum when they traded down, because they knew that they weren't first overall pick quality. Mm-hmm. But, we knew we wanted a forward, and we knew that it was between Jayson Tatum and Josh Jackson. And I think one of the biggest deal breakers was when Josh Jackson didn't show up to work out with us.
Exactly.
He canceled last minute. He was supposed to come in for a workout, and I think that that's not the way the Celtics roll. I think Danny Ainge, Brad Stevens, they aren't about players not showing up to practices.
So you think that not canceling really hurt Danny Ainge? Do you think Danny Ainge let emotions get the best of him?
I think he did, because I think that he took it too personally when Josh Jackson couldn't make the practice. But it's just, I think that right here I see Joe, while I'm looking over his shoulder, pulls up an article from the Bleacher Report saying that Josh Jackson's skipped workout implied that he did not want to play for the Boston Celtics.
Well, we have a call from one of our own, Tom Brown. I'm calling from. Yeah. Hold on, here we go. Tom, you're on the station. Hopefully you can hear us.
Hi. Yeah, this is Tom from Marlboro.
Yes, hello, Tom. How are you?
Good. First time, long time. Love the show.
All right, thanks.
I was just wondering, do you think Josh Jackson noticed that they took a number 3 pick at the same position last year, and that's why he decided he didn't want to play for them? I'll take my answer off here. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you, Tom.
No problem. Now, he comes up with a good point there, that Josh Jackson may not have wanted to play for the team. The Celtics took a number 3 pick
with Jaylen Brown.
He probably figured that he wouldn't be as valued with another forward rookie, or not rookie, going into his second season on the team. So he probably let his emotions get the best of him when he figured that he wouldn't be a value player, because he is starter potential for certain teams, and I feel like
i.e. the Suns.
i.e. the Suns. I feel like he didn't think he would be starter potential for the Celtics, so he just threw a big red flag right out there.
Yeah, Brad Stevens, he always thinks his rookies need to earn the minutes. Like Jaylen Brown, I think barely. I'm not even sure if he got double-digit minutes over the year. But I'm not sure if Josh Jackson was willing to put in that much work, and that's why I guess Danny Ainge was so high on Jayson Tatum, because they knew, he was good, but he was so willing to get better. And I think that's what made Tatum better than Jackson in Ainge's eyes.
Also,
go ahead.
Okay, I was also going to say Jayson Tatum was a way better shooter.
Yeah.
And that's what they really need, because Isaiah Thomas is pretty much the only main shooter on the Celtics right now. Mm-hmm. So they really need to get some more offensive talent.
That's actually exactly what I was about to say right before we spoke at the same time. Josh Jackson and Jayson Tatum are virtually very similar players, but Jayson Tatum is the superior shooter. And with teams like the Warriors in the NBA, we need players who can shoot the ball well. And you look at players like Jay Crowder, his three-point shooting has gone up immensely throughout the year. Same with Amir Johnson. I mean, he's not a good shooter still, but his shooting has greatly improved from where it was last year.
It's also because of the Celtics game plan. Pass first, get open looks. Drake, I don't think Jay Crowder nearly shoots as well as he does on another team where it's, kind of isolation ball. But because it's the Celtics, because it's Stevens' system, they have a great passing team, and you'll always find open looks in the corner for Crowder or open shots down low in the post for Johnson, for example. And so I think just being on this team already makes them, better shooters.
Yeah, I think it was smart that we took Jayson Tatum. I was upset at first
because that was your prediction that they traded the picks so they could get Josh Jackson.
My prediction was that we would trade down and pick Josh Jackson, and so I was very upset when Jayson Tatum was picked. But I think that was just because I wanted to be right. Really, I think Jayson Tatum is overall the better player. I think he'll really bring a new... I don't necessarily think that he's the best for our team dynamic, but I think that he'll bring new options to the table as to how to play the game of basketball.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys both think that we still missed out with Markelle Fultz?
I think by not picking Fultz, I think Ainge basically just committed to Isaiah Thomas right there. Isaiah Thomas has said that he does want to play for the Celtics long term, and with both Bradley's and Thomas's contracts being up this year, obviously you can't re-sign both, especially if we go out and sign a max contract again this free agency. So I think by doing that, I feel like Ainge just said, okay, Isaiah, you're our point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do agree.
I think Markelle Fultz would have been a mistake. Markelle Fultz is a player who needs to be an immediate starter for a team, and that's what the 76ers needed. But the Celtics wouldn't have needed him as much as another team would, and we wouldn't have needed him as much as we needed Jayson Tatum on our team. So I think that it was a smart move trading down and taking what we need and giving the 76ers what they need. Everybody leaves happy.
I agree.
I agree.
His first overall picks are not meant for... You're not picking for what you need. You're picking the best player, and the best player in the draft is not who the Celtics need. So it was a smart... I don't know. They said the best offer. That was the best offer that they got. So with the 76ers, with the pick, the LA pick, and that. So I don't know. I like it. I guess I like it. I wish they could have got more, obviously, as a Celtics fan. But it was a good...
But again, I still feel like it was good.
For committing to Isaiah Thomas and not... Yeah.
All right, what we have next is after Lonzo Ball was picked, LeVar Ball was leaving the NBA draft. He stands up, and the entire Barclays Center thought it a good idea to boo LeVar Ball. LeVar Ball has come under fire with a reputation that he's a hothead, he is self-centered, and he only cares about his kids because he cares about himself. When he stood up and was booed, I just thought, what does it mean for Big Baller Brand, the family's brand, and what does it mean for him? Is he compromising the integrity of the NBA and its players by being this obnoxious and rude?
Okay, I'll jump in first to answer your first question of what it means for his brand. It means absolutely nothing. Everyone's hated him from the get-go, or when he was first put in the limelight, and so a little boo at the Barclays Center means absolutely nothing, in my opinion. Like, he wanted that, probably. Like, him being booed, he probably, really enjoyed it. And so, they'll still make however much money they'll make, if any, from that brand. They'll still have that, big reputation. Nothing's going to change in that.
I'm going to jump in and say, I actually like LeVar Ball. I don't know
really?
about any...
Oh. How so?
I don't like him as a, I feel like it's more of an act of what he puts on, so I feel like I like him as because he's entertaining to, follow and listen to. I don't like his, actions, I guess you could say.
Well, is it an issue? I agree he's entertaining. I think it's
But I feel like it's an act that he's putting on to get his son, attention, to get, or all his son's attention. If I didn't know, because LeVar, he's brought his, son and his other sons and the brand to the spotlight with all these crazy things he says.
But you say he's entertaining and that's why you like him. Yes. Does that take away from the game of basketball at all?
Well, no, because his son Ball,
Lonzo.
Yeah, Lonzo.
One of the three.
Yeah, he's still a great player. He was probably going to go second no matter what, with his dad or not. So it doesn't take away of his son's game. He was really motivates his sons. You can tell he actually loves them and wants the best for them.
Okay, but anyways,
that's in my opinion. I think so.
Of course, Lonzo Ball, LeVar Ball, LaMelo Ball are great players, but is he using them?
Oh well, he wants them to be basketball players. That's what he said his goal was. He trained Lonzo since he was did you see? I don't know if anyone else saw the mini documentary about the
I
Ball
wanna watch
family?
that.
Seen that one, yeah.
No
The-
one, only me.
The
Okay.
ESPN one?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so he was like just saying how how all his sons are so good at basketball because he worked really hard on or guided them the way to success.
But not even necessarily is he compromising his son's game, but is he compromising himself? Like, that's not going to fly in the NBA, what he's done to them
Yeah,
in college and
I
high
agree
school.
with that.
When he gets to the NBA, he can't be their father anymore who's always there and sticking up for them. They need to be their own players, their own individual people. And I don't think they rely on their father per se, but he can't rely on them once they're in the NBA. So now that Lonzo's gone, he can't be all about Lonzo. He has to focus on LaMelo, LiAngelo. And I think that really could affect them in the long run as three good basketball players. Well, LiAngelo's debatable, but two good basketball players. I think it could really end up affecting them if he coddles them the whole way through. Coddling used in the loosest sense of the word because he's not a very good person. But he coddles them, and I don't think that'll fly in the NBA.
I don't think
Sons are definitely going to get chirped in the NBA, like for
definitely,
sure about
but
LeVar.
I think he'll calm down again, lose the sense of the term, but he'll definitely like back off a bit. Once yes, he got them to the NBA. That was kind of like his end goal, and so I feel like Lonzo's gonna prove himself as his own player. Perhaps I'm not really sure. Like it's really a wild card what LeVar is gonna do.
Well, what I see when I look at LeVar Ball, Lonzo Ball, is that you don't look at Steph Curry and Seth Curry, and you don't see Del Curry, who was an NBA player for the Charlotte Hornets and Toronto Raptors. You don't see him going around like, oh, my sons are the best players in the league.
You don't see any parents other than LeVar, really.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. And I think that LeVar, while he's on his high horse, getting all this attention from ESPN, whether it's First Take, SportsCenter, he's getting all this attention, and you don't get that, nobody thinks what's he going to do in the NBA. That won't fly in the NBA.
It's entertaining. That's what it was. They brought a ESPN, put a camera in his face and a mic in his face for the attention because he was willing to have a big mouth, and then they kept, giving them all this, TV time, and he ran with it. And so there's no one really to blame other than the media going like, oh, it's LeVar Ball, it's LeVar Ball. If they really wanted to shut him up, they would have stopped talking to him. But instead, he was interviewed at the NBA draft, and, they kept trying to talk him, kept trying to egg him on. And so, that's why he talked, because he was egged on the whole time.
And final touching point on the subject. Is this going to hurt his son Lonzo's play in the NBA if he keeps it up like this?
If he keeps it up, maybe. But I think at some point Lonzo's going to just be like, all right, I'm an adult now. I can handle the media myself. And so I feel like if LeVar does keep it up, Lonzo will sort of dissociate himself. But I don't think LeVar is going to keep it up.
I think that as long as LeVar doesn't clash heads with Magic Johnson, which would be a terrible idea, of the Lakers. If he's probably going to be interviewed and still on First Take and stuff, and so they can get their views. But I don't think if he starts arguing or saying bad things about the Lakers, then that'll be a problem.
Yeah, and let me twist the question a little bit. With his being so out there and being so vocal about his son's team, and about how his son is the best player on his teams, or whatever team he plays for, will that hurt Lonzo's worth as a player?
Not really. I think teams are smart enough to be like, oh yeah, he's a good basketball player with a great skill set. I think they can sort of, if they're willing to bite the bullet, like the Lakers, they love the showtime. That's what they wanted. Lonzo is exactly the type of player they needed because of, especially with LeVar, amping him up. So I think in the long run, once Lonzo hits free agency in 4 or 5 years or whatever, I think teams will just look at him like the good point guard that he is.
I agree.
Okay. Next topic. This is probably our most loaded topic of the day. the Jimmy Butler trade to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, this trade involved Jimmy Butler being traded from the Chicago Bulls and the 16th overall pick in the Thursday night draft was also traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves, in theory, gave up very little for this trade. I think that the players they gave up were good players. They gave up Zach LaVine, Chris Dunn, and the number 7 overall pick, which is big. But Jimmy Butler is a super player who was looking at many options, and he was the face of the Bulls organization. He was a great player who they traded away, and Jimmy Butler actually was caught saying the other day that being the face of an organization isn't as good as I thought. He was a not franchise, but he was
really good.
He was I'd say he's a franchise player.
He was the face of the organization, like I was saying. He was, what defined the Bulls as who they are. And now, we have Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine on the Bulls. And Chris Dunn is similar in play style to Jimmy Butler, but he's still very much in development. He's not in a place where he can be Jimmy Butler quality, and the Bulls have kind of been in a slump lately. Not bad players. They made the playoffs this year, but they're a really old team, and Jimmy Butler was their most developed and strong player. And when they traded him away, now everybody in their team is either regressing or progressing. And so they're either growing or shrinking when it comes to player quality, and that may not be great for the team.
Would you want to take this first?
Sure, I'll take it. So, for the Bulls, I think it was the right idea. At least the idea was there of moving on from the Jimmy Butler era. Jimmy Butler, I'm looking at it right now. He was the most improved player 3 years ago. But for the past 2 years, 9th place with 42 wins and 8th place with 41 wins. Ever since we're looking back to 2010-2011 was the last time they made the conference finals. So they haven't really been getting anywhere. Yes, they moved on from Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah, but they didn't get anywhere. They thought Jimmy Butler was the answer. They gave him Dwayne Wade and Rondo to work with, and Miocic was a good player down in the post for them, but it just wasn't working. And for the past couple of years, they kind of had this win now push. You don't sign Dwayne Wade unless you think you can win now. But then again, it didn't work. So now I think by trading Jimmy Butler, they couldn't trade Dwayne Wade. He wasn't worth what they were paying him. No other team would be willing to take on his contract.
And he's old.
And he's old. Yeah. And then Rondo, he's just kind of, he's not really trade bait. He's on the team on a decently expensive contract, but again, he's probably overpaid.
For a starter who's paid that much, he's definitely a role player.
Yeah, exactly. And so really the only piece that they could move in order to move on from their most previous era was trading Jimmy Butler. And so, yes, they did it. It kind of pushed the do-over button, but I think executing the trade, they did a poor job in getting what Jimmy Butler is worth.
Joe?
Yeah, I was going to say, exactly that. Jimmy Butler was worth way more than that. And now we're, as Celtics fans, we're wondering why couldn't the Celtics do that, make that trade. They definitely could have matched that with all the assets they have.
Easily.
According to CBS Sports, the Celtics did turn down Jimmy Butler. They were talking a lot for the 3rd overall pick in the draft. It seemed like the Celtics really wanted that pick, and I honestly think they might have should have traded for the Jimmy Butler for the 3rd overall pick and maybe Jay Crowder.
Well, that's a lot too.
Well, still that's a lot, but they need a player like that to help them get over the Cavs.
But Jimmy Butler is worth a number 3 pick. But is he worth a number 3 pick and our starting small forward? I know that he himself
essentially would replace him.
But
Exactly.
Is essentially Jay Crowder and Jayson Tatum. I think the potential that Jayson Tatum has and the use that we have for Jay Crowder now is worth more than Jimmy Butler and his $19 million contract that he comes with.
That's still a pretty cheap
it's pretty
contract
cheap,
for
but
a player
what
like him
I think
that can play both sides of the ball, and we need an elite defensive player. And Jimmy Butler has that asset.
What I think Danny Ainge wanted to do, I don't think Danny Ainge was high on Jimmy Butler. Yes, he would have been nice, in that, most recent push
But he
last
would have
season.
also been taking steps backwards by taking Jimmy Butler.
Right.
Based on our team's current dynamic, based on our team's current mindset, Jimmy Butler would be taking steps backwards for the organization.
And I think Danny Ainge has his eyes set on Gordon Hayward in the free agency, where if you take on a $19 million contract, Jay Crowder's contract is it's less than $7 million this upcoming year. So you're essentially taking on, $12 million, and that puts you to the point where I don't think you can offer a max contract. And sign Gordon Hayward, you need that max contract.
And talking about Gordon Hayward, if we sign Gordon Hayward, are we losing Avery Bradley?
Yeah, we would have to. I don't even think we're getting him no matter what. He wants to be he's going to get way better offers from than the Celtics, and he'll probably be get way more minutes.
We still have Avery Bradley under contract this year. He's not a free agent yet.
Yeah, but we're talking about next year.
Next year, I think if we sign Gordon Hayward, we're trading Avery Bradley.
I think that we
need to trade him this year.
What happens?
Yeah,
well, that's what we're saying.
What we mean.
What happens is if we trade or if we pick up Gordon Hayward in free agency, we could get such a blockbuster trade for Avery Bradley because he's a good player, but not a good player for the Celtics. He's he is a good player, but he's underappreciated as a member of the Celtics.
I feel like that's fair, yeah.
And he's, some other team would kill to have him.
Mm-hmm.
Another team would kill to have him. A team that's struggling in the NBA, and he just doesn't, fit. Like we've been talking about dynamic a lot today. He doesn't fit our dynamic. His role on our team is shrinking, and I think Gordon Hayward would be able to fill that gap if we trade Jimmy Butler or not Jimmy Butler.
And again, I feel like Avery Bradley would be a nice piece to look at, say, the Pacers, and be like, look, we have Avery Bradley. That's a player that can help you out now and a bit in the future. Plus, I don't know, some other young guy, and then a pick or two.
For Paul George.
Talking
about. But they definitely need to get rid of Avery Bradley because we don't want to, obviously.
I wouldn't say get rid of him. He's not a nuisance on this team. If we keep him for this year, fine.
But you don't want to, end up with nothing out of him.
Right.
Thunder with Kevin Durant obviously is not that extent of a player, but, they got nothing out of, or, him leaving.
Well, they weren't really expecting him to leave.
I'm just saying, for example.
For our situation, we physically can't sign Avery Bradley, assuming we want to sign Isaiah Thomas.
And Avery Bradley, like you said, he's not a nuisance, but I think it wouldn't be smart to do nothing with him this offseason.
Yes.
I think that we have to do something with him, whether it's cut his pay, which he won't take, or trade him. And trading is the best option in that scenario because it's best for him as a player. And I know we talk about the NBA, how it's a business, but when we talk about players, organizations still care about their players, and they still care about what those players do for the organization and their well-being on other teams, whether or not they're still with us. So I think that it would be best, and our organization realizes that it would be best if we trade Avery Bradley, since he's consistently in Isaiah Thomas's shadow, and we get somebody bigger with that trade, or even draft picks because we're pick hoarders. So we trade Avery Bradley and pick up, somebody else, and then have Gordon Hayward on the team.
We have a question in from WMCT Sports. Thanks, Tom. Which says, do you guys think they're building to win now or waiting for the Warriors team to break up? Anyone want to?
Well, Wait. Okay.
Okay, I think I'll start.
You want to start this?
Building to win now. They can't win now. Danny Ainge knows they can't win now. If he thinks they can win now, then he's really dumb.
But I think he wants us to make.
He wants us to be
now.
good now, but he's also well aware that in the future, the possibility for winning becomes a lot more open without the Warriors. That's why he kept the third pick. That's why he does not want to trade Jaylen Brown.
But a lot of the Warriors players, their big five starters, are under contract for a
next
while.
few years, yeah.
So I think
Under contract, yes, but in their prime for how long?
Oh, they're still all pretty young.
Yeah, most
Fair
of them,
enough.
a majority of them are pretty young players, and under contract, I mean, as long as that Warriors team is together, they're winning, and I think we can't wait for the Warriors to break up. We can't wait for that team to break up because it's not going to happen until Isaiah Thomas has, regressed as a player, until,
Well, that's why he also is very protective of those future Brooklyn picks. I believe we still have. Is next year the last year we have a Brooklyn
that's
pick?
the last one.
Well, we still have next year's Brooklyn pick. We still have next year's Laker pick. Or if that doesn't go through, then in 2 years we still have that Sacramento pick. There's a reason he stockpiled these picks. It's because he knows we can't win now, and he wants to win in the future. And in 5 years, once all those contracts are up in 3-4 years.
Yeah.
So in 4 years, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum, they will be good. That next year's Brooklyn pick, whoever it is, they will be good by that point.
But if you thought they would be building for the future, they would have never traded the first overall pick and picked up Markelle Fultz. Because they're trying to win now. They have all these assets that they're trying to trade, or they should be trying to trade away.
But
they have a time now.
Danny Ainge thinks Jayson Tatum was good enough to be the first overall pick. He was just smart enough not to waste it on it.
In 5 years, Isaiah Thomas will not be as good as he is now. There's no point to keeping him if you think that you want to wait till after this Warriors dynasty.
And that's what I'm saying, is a lot of our team is getting older. We have Al Horford, who's really
His
up
contract's
there.
up after 3 years. That's it. We're not re-signing him.
Exactly, because he's going to retire.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't rely on time because this team, we're a good team, but we're getting up there with the age and numbers. And so I think that's why it confuses me why we traded down, because we're going to need a guard in the next few years who's going to be able to beat other teams after Isaiah Thomas comes out of his prime, after Al Horford retires. We're losing a lot within the next 5 years. Not even necessarily losing, but we're downsizing ourselves.
Okay, I see where you're coming from, but I'm going to defend Danny Ainge and think he saw Jayson Tatum as a guy who will be the scorer for the future. Maybe next year he sees a point guard that will be good enough, like Markelle Fultz. And Markelle Fultz, he's a guard who can score the ball himself. So if you were drafting Markelle Fultz, you're going, here's the centerpiece of our franchise. But you already have Jaylen Brown that you're putting a lot of faith into. And so I feel like he just wanted scorers now, because you still have Isaiah Thomas now who can pass the ball. And then in the future, whether it's, next year's draft or in a couple years' draft, maybe find a point guard who's a good distributor and maybe not the scorer that Markelle Fultz is.
And while we're talking about our depth and our team, Amir Johnson is 30. Been in the league for 12 years. Struggled with injury.
His contract's up.
He's up after next year.
He's up. No, his contract's up this year.
This year.
So is Kelly Olynyk, right?
Nope. Kelly Olynyk, we have a qualifying offer for him. So if we give him that, he's a restricted free agent. Here are our free agents. Amir Johnson does not have a contract.
We should not re-sign him.
No. Oh, my God. We paid that guy $12 million each for the past 2 years.
Can't rebound.
To break his shoulder.
Jonas Jerebko's up. James Young, Gerald Green. We still paid R.J. Hunter because we cut him. And then a bunch of guys that we're paying.
We need to sign Gerald Green. No, we don't.
No.
And James Young.
Good.
James Young. I don't think we re-signed any of them.
Really?
I don't want any of them back because
To save room for...
just also to save room, but to move on from the rebuilding era that we had, where get a bunch of scrappy guys together that will play on this team and have Brad Stevens put in a system where you pass the ball a lot and sort of everyone gets their chance to, put the ball in the hoop. We need to move on to the Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown era,
7-11.
where 7-11, where they're the guys that are going to get the ball and they're going to score it. With enough of this, especially just Jonas Jerebko. If we re-sign Jonas Jerebko, he's a small forward, power forward. He'll take minutes away from the guys that need it, Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum. And so we need to move on from that, scrappy ball era and move on to the here are our scorers, they will score.
That's the thing, and that's what the Warriors did. They built themselves, and then they built themselves quickly, and they started winning. They're like, here is our team. We haven't established our players. We haven't established our dynasty as a team. We haven't said, this is us.
Mm-hmm.
Let's play basketball. We're all over the place. The only people who we can say, like, hey, this is our team about is Isaiah Thomas right now. And if he gets injured, then we don't have a team. We have a bunch of different
but if LeBron James gets injured, the Cavs suck. If Kevin Durant, Durant got injured, and they still did pretty good.
What I'm saying though is, if Isaiah's injured, we don't have a root. We're just a bunch of players playing like basketball to play it, not to win. You get what I'm saying?
And even before Isaiah Thomas, took over, it was, again, a bunch of guys on a team. That's what it was. And we still have a lot of those players from that time, Jonas Jerebko and Amir Johnson. And so I think we need to go, okay, Isaiah Thomas, you're our guy. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, you will be our guys. And then go on from there and get role players that know that maybe they're not going to get a lot of minutes. Maybe they're not going to get the ball a lot.
Okay, Joe has something he wants to talk about.
Well, we got a request to talk about some hockey, so I'm the most familiar with this.
Yes, I know nothing about this topic right
yes,
now.
so
I can talk about contracts.
I was thinking about. I was going to bring up the Golden Knights. So if you guys, if you didn't hear,
the Las Vegas Golden.
Yeah, the NHL had an expansion draft to bring in the new Golden Knights. So it was during the awards, which was very smart marketing, like the NHL awards. So some of the big players that they definitely got was James Neal. He's kind of older though. 29.
Well, we didn't expect them to get good players.
Yeah, you were expecting them to build for the future. They're not. They probably won't even be.
But for a team that's building a future, I feel like they traded a lot of their draft picks to get, some guys into the roster. What do you think about that?
They trade what would they do? Because it was kind of weird because I've never seen an expansion draft before. They would get bribed, I guess you could say, to pick because they have to pick one player from each team. So teams would bribe using draft picks to pick worse players on their team. Like the Blue Jackets, they gave them a first-round pick to save one of their really good players.
Oh, okay.
And I forget what player they took. He wasn't that good though.
They signed Marc-Andre Fleury, which
they
is
did. That
not
was
bad.
the big player that they got. He is getting up in age with 32 years of age.
Well,
but he is a good player that they will have to build around for the first few years while they're getting a bunch of young superstars. And they did get a bunch of draft picks, so they might not. They probably won't be good this year, but they mostly picked from teams like really young players. They got a few veterans, so we'll see how they go. They do.
Yeah, I'm looking at the years born, and a lot of them are very recent, late 1990s. And I think that give them time, really. I think that they shouldn't be one of those expansion teams who is overlooked forever. I think that they deserve to be given time, and I think that in the next few years they're at least contenders for playoffs, not championship.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But good luck to them, really. I mean, they could have done worse, but they're an expansion team.
Yeah, I like them. I feel like if they make right picks, I don't know if they should well, they shouldn't really tank because it's going to be their first season ever.
Mhm.
So they should go out there and rack up. They have a bunch of draft picks also next year too.
Mhm.
So we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking at their roster right now, and they barely have anyone. They have like 5-6 players signed into next year. A lot of them
Yeah.
are becoming free agents. So I think that, the experience in draft is to just put guys on their roster. And so they'll really come up with their own identity, within 5 years.
Yep. And the Bruins, they lost in the expansion draft Colin Miller. He was a pretty good defensive player. He was young. I think we drafted him like 2 years or a few years ago.
All
I don't know. But they did not the Celtics. The Bruins did lose him, which isn't that big of a hit, I guess, compared to other teams.
Yeah, other teams took some pretty big hits.
Like James Neal, that was a big one especially for Nashville, who just lost in the Stanley Cup playoffs, or in the Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So also the draft happened. That happened recently for the NHL.
NHL draft.
Yep.
Just
And,
overall in general.
So what's your expectation for the Bruins next year? After making it to the playoffs for the first time, but it was a first round exit.
Mhm.
So
I don't expect much.
Me neither.
I'm going to just put it right out there. I don't think I have too much to touch on with this subject. I think that they're, making themselves known again by pulling off that playoff berth. That seems so unlikely for a lot of the season. But I don't see them going anywhere as an organization for a while, at least. They had 2011, and then it was all downhill from there.
I agree.
Good for them for making the playoffs, and I think they have a shot at it again. But I don't expect a Stanley Cup for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, it was a nice little rally at the end, with the whole coaching change. But they don't really have, that momentum was lost when the season ended, and now you have to kind of start over again. I don't think they're going to have that same kind of run throughout another 82 games.
But they also had a lot of injuries in the playoffs, especially on their defense, missing Torrey Krug. And they definitely could have managed the Ottawa Senators last year. They definitely could have made it at least past the first round.
Oh. I don't agree with that.
Well, Erik Karlsson, really good player for.
You're talking about the 2016-2017 season?
This past season.
Yeah. Okay. Are we getting texts about our thing?
Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan, for the text.
Ryan says the Bruins are calling Miller and the minors Lucic straight to Las Vegas to Los Angeles.
Okay, guys. Anyways, I'm gonna keep talking while we
text
figure out
made
this
0
text. So if you're gonna text us, please make sense. So we don't waste time. So yeah, the Bruins are.
So should we
There's some shouting in the back room.
I'm trying to get that text in for 40 minutes, Joe. At least put it on the air.
We just talked about
Yeah,
it.
we've been talking about it.
He was getting some work done.
Our producer Buffy just came in enraged about something. I can't quite tell what.
Anyway.
Sorry about that, folks.
So we can go on to another topic. We could talk about the Patriots signing the Jets linebacker David Harris.
It happened.
Yeah, it did. Hold on.
We got another.
Breaking news. Isaiah Thomas tweeted, Avery, Smart, or Jay didn't get all defense. That's a joke. Is that a joke?
That's not a joke. I think he made that as a joke.
Avery Bradley.
Avery had
Really?
a shot. Definitely. Avery is a good
Jay Crowder
defensive
and
player.
Marcus
Jay Crowder and
Smart.
Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart's
What?
a okay defender. You
Yeah,
look
well,
at the
he's
team
good.
and you go, okay, he's a good defender on this team. But across the league, Marcus Smart is not a good defender.
Isaiah Thomas clearly upset about his teammates not being recognized. Isaiah is a very vocal player about when he doesn't agree with an opinion. So, there we go. That they didn't make the all-defensive team.
So
Sorry.
who
Okay,
did
I'm
make
looking at I just looked it up right now.
Okay.
Okay, so all defensive first team, Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert,
We got a call.
Kawhi Leonard, Chris Paul, and
I
Avery
don't know
Bradley.
if
We have a call. I'm not sure if it's sports related. It's from Sabrina.
Oh, this is Jared's girlfriend, everybody. Let's see if it's
Okay.
sports-related.
Hello, Sabrina. You are on the air. Okay, good.
Okay.
You do know.
Okay, good, you do know.
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me turn it up.
So my question is,
Okay.
hold on. How do you guys feel about Kelly Olynyk?
How do we feel about him?
Are you asking that because you're a fan of Kelly Olynyk?
I don't know. I might be after this.
All right. Are you gonna take that off the air?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the question.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we just got some feedback from her call, I believe. I'm not sure if that was just us, but I think her TV was turned up pretty loud when she called us.
Maybe, yeah.
How do we feel about Kelly Olynyk? Let's just breeze past this one.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
Quick
this is a
quick update on Kelly Olynyk's
Um,
contract situation. He has a qualifying offer, which means if the Celtics offer that, he will be a restricted free agent coming to this season.
Okay, so I think he had one good game, and everyone
Well,
bloviated about him. He's he's not that good. He's can't get rebounds. He's not a center he can shoot the 3-pointer.
Compared to the Celtics' other centers, he's not the best.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he is a strong player, but he spreads himself really thin in what he can and can't do.
Mm-hmm.
So he has 1 point in everything.
Right.
He's very consistent in being very inconsistent,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
He's very consistent in having, 1 rebound per game and stuff like that. And I think that he could be a very good player.
No.
He's young, though. He's young.
He is young.
I think we could trade him before he becomes a free agent.
Can we? No, I don't
it's
think
this
so.
year.
What?
He's a restricted
he's
free agent
restricted?
right now.
Oh.
July 1st,
Never
other teams
mind.
can offer him. But Kelly Olynyk, again, he's from that era where, pass first, everyone gets the ball before, someone takes a shot.
Mhm.
And so if we keep him, we paid him $3 million last year. If we keep him that low, fine. I'll take him for, $5 million. We paid Jonas Jerebko $5 million, and I think Olynyk is better than Jerebko. But if he wants any bigger role or any, kind of long-term, just long-term commitment, that's not coming from the Celtics because we need to move on from that era.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like him.
Okay, so off the topic of Kelly Olynyk and back to our show. So let's go to our final predictions because we're running out of time here.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So we did final predictions last week on champions of all NBA or all sports, NBA, NFL, MLB. Yeah, so I'm getting a report that we have 10 minutes left, and I know that's why we're doing our final prediction. So we
need a better way to communicate between the producer and us.
we literally just have a piece of paper held up to us saying how much time we have. We know we have 10 minutes. But anyways, so let's talk about our final predictions. This week we're talking about Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor, and which NBA draftee will become the best player of the league or best rookie of the league.
Start this way.
So are you talking about MVP?
Yeah,
Or
I mean rookie of the year.
So when all those people are retired, who looks back and goes,
Alright.
okay, that guy was really good?
exactly, in his rookie season.
Okay.
Or like
Oh,
overall.
I'm saying who will become the best player
Like out of the whole
out of the draft.
Okay. So let's start over here and we'll move towards Jared. Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. It's such an interesting fight. It's such an interesting dynamic because they both have totally different fight styles. And I think Floyd Mayweather is going to crush Conor McGregor. I think that it's not even a good question. I think unless something really unlikely happens, like a whole Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm thing, unless something like that happens again, I think that Floyd and Conor is Floyd Mayweather easy. He's just overall he has a stronger build. He's got harder hits. His kicks are unbelievable. What Conor McGregor does is he goes for the fast attack, and he hopes that he gets enough little hits in there to make one big impact. Floyd Mayweather, he goes in there and he makes 5 or 6 rocks, like he nails them. He takes his time, and I think that'll do more damage in that fight. Which NBA draftee becomes the best player? That's tough, because there's a lot of NBA draftees. I think overall, in a few years, I think Josh Jackson will be a really strong player. I don't think Markelle Fultz is going to become legendary because I feel like he doesn't feel like he has that much room to grow. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like he thinks that he's already a great player, and he is, but I feel like he thinks that he doesn't need to improve as much as he actually does. And then you look at players like Lonzo. I don't even want to talk about Lonzo. Jayson Tatum, he's going to be a role player for a while. I don't think he's going to be the most unbelievable player of all time of this NBA draft class. And Josh Jackson, here I am, 4th overall pick. He...
With that 20% threes, it's pretty good.
He doesn't need...
Wait, no. Sorry. Are you talking about Josh Jackson?
Josh Jackson.
Okay, never mind. I was thinking of
Justin
Jackson?
Fox
for some reason.
Fox.
I was really misheard you there.
No, Josh Jackson. Josh Jackson, I believe, will become a great player. I think that he's going to be a well-rounded player who knows that he needs to improve on a lot of things, and who really needs to, build his stuff, his overall agility as a player, and I think that'll it'll serve him in good stead in the long run. All right, Joe.
Right.
Joe.
So for the first one, Floyd versus Connor, it's not like Connor's going to a completely different sport, or they're still fighting, but he's going to get destroyed. McGregor is not. It's not that much to talk about. He's going to get destroyed. I don't know. He's probably going to get knocked out. And
think it's a knockout.
McGregor gets knocked out.
No, yeah. The only way that Conor McGregor can win is if he gets a lucky knockout on Floyd. I don't even know if he's going to hit a punch on him.
Well, I think that's a force. I think they're two great, amazing fighters.
I don't know.
I think it's going to be a good fight, but I think Floyd Mayweather is...
No, it's not going to be great at all. He's going to destroy him. They're just in it for the money. And then for... yeah, it's not going to be a competition. And then for the best player in the draft, I think Markelle Fultz might win the Rookie of the Year because I feel like the 76ers...
He's going to get the biggest opportunity.
Yes, because he can lead the Sixers to the playoffs this year.
Oh, I would not push that.
I think that if he's
have two people on the other
side. The four people that they drafted recently in Fultz, Simmons, Embiid, and Okafor.
Yes, I think
they've barely played together whatsoever. Even those three guys that have been here already for a year. Ben Simmons hasn't played. Embiid's played.
Injured. If
Embiid's played 30-something games. No, they haven't played together at all. There's no chemistry on that team yet.
There will be, and then when they do,
in a couple seasons.
I'm not saying they're gonna get the first pick, first seed. They're gonna if they do make it. It's
I don't think they're even gonna squeeze into the 8th.
Anyway, but that's not who I'm even.
Close, maybe.
I'm not even picking Fultz for this. I was just bringing it up because I'm gonna pick Lonzo Ball.
Okay.
I think he could be with the Lakers rebuilding right now, and he has the biggest or one of the biggest opportunities to go and bring the Lakers back.
He's a guard though, and they have D'Angelo Russell.
They just traded Russell.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
To the Nets?
Oh, yeah, no, I heard about that. My bad. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, they traded him so they could get Lonzo. He's going to get the start. The one thing that is concerning is his defensive ability in the NBA.
That mattered.
And his shot. His shot is very, unique. But if he can get that off in the NBA, he could...
The ball goes in the hoop.
Then I think he could be the best player in the draft. But in the NBA, he's going to get
stuffed.
I don't know.
With that thing that he does?
Yeah, the weird.
Maybe step back 3. That gets people.
Okay, anyway, Jared, your turn.
Okay. McGregor knocks out Floyd in the 3rd round. Conor McGregor knocks out Floyd Mayweather in the 3rd round.
I don't even want to do this with,
No one argue that. Alright, I'll finish the show by myself.
I'll go with you, actually. Bye, Joe.
Conor gets the dub. Everyone says he's not a boxer. MMA is Conor McGregor's style. Just turn him off. Which one is he? I don't even want to know. I'm not going to take a chance. People say Conor's not a boxer, but his fighting style in the MMA, he punches more than he grapples, and that's basically boxing. I'm not much of a fan, so I've watched minimal boxing, but I'm assuming that's what it is. So you heard that here first. Maybe not first, but you heard it here. And on August 27th, we'll do a show, and I'll be able to say I was right. NBA, who's going to be the best player? Joe made a good argument. Lonzo Ball is going to have plenty of opportunity on a rebuilding team that's not going to suck. Because, yes, the 76ers are rebuilding, but they're going to suck. The Lakers might do it right. And so Lonzo Ball will get plenty of opportunity to show himself. Yeah.
But a rookie's not going to carry the team.
Not going to carry the team yet. But when all is said and done, Jayson Tatum will be good. People saying, he has the upside of a Paul Pierce. Mm-hmm. But Paul Pierce came out on a sucky Celtics team, and he got minutes right away. So Tatum's going to have to wait, and that's going to hurt him ultimately in the long run. Lonzo Ball is going to have plenty of opportunity.
Okay, so I'm being told to put in our final thoughts about our final thoughts.
Those were our final thoughts. So, Joe, do you want to come back, say goodbye? No, Joe, stay out of here. All right, everyone, thank you for watching.
Thank you all for watching.
No? Alex Sly's going to call in.
Call in.
Oh, hold on. My friend just texted me. Shout out to Colin McMahon.
That was ridiculous what Jared just said. I needed, take 5.
Okay.
Jared, what's the number? 508?
I tweeted it.
So we will get
check my Twitter.
One more
call, answer that question, and that will be our show for the day, folks.
Jared, what's wrong with you?
Our final caller.
I'm a Conor McGregor
Buffy
fan.
Cautela really wants this person
maybe
to
that.
call in.
I like Conor McGregor. I like how he's very confident, but he's not going to win. I don't know how you can think that. He's going to a completely different element.
Not completely different. You
can't
punching the man in the face in an octagon. What's different from punching a man in the face in a ring?
Because you can't do half the things you do in an octagon that you can do or the other way around.
Colin, I just gave you a shout out. Don't text me, please.
It's delayed.
Oh, it's delayed. Colin, you'll expect a shout out in 20 seconds.
Anyways.
We're still waiting for one more call.
We have 5 minutes left while we wait for this call.
Jesus Christ, Alex Schley.
Yeah, Alex Schley wants to call in very badly, and we feel bad hanging up on her. So let's give it.
It's not like we had an hour.
Let's give it 2 minutes. We're at an hour. We have 4 minutes until.
We love the fans.
We love the fans, guys. Thank you if you sat through this whole thing.
We actually got more texts and tweets now.
Yeah, we are doing a very good job.
It says hi, Colin.
It's to Colin McMahon, who is watching at home.
And we are going to make a YouTube channel soon.
Eventually, all of these
videos
will be uploaded on a YouTube channel.
Eventually.
If we care enough.
If we decide that we want to edit it.
Oh, well, I never mentioned the NBA All-Defensive Second Team while we're wrapping up. Tony Allen, Danny Green, Anthony Davis, Andre Robertson from Oklahoma, and Giannis Antetokounmpo.
I'm surprised Antetokounmpo and...
I'm surprised Antetokounmpo wasn't higher.
I know. I'm surprised he wasn't the first team.
He had 7 first-place votes and only 21 second-place votes.
I'm also very surprised about... Oh, shoot. I can't remember who I was very surprised about. Read him again. Give me a... Anthony Davis. I was very surprised that he wasn't higher up.
He had no first-round or first-team votes.
Really?
He had 58 second-team votes.
That shocks me. I think that...
Well, because compared... He's a center, so you kind of have to go who is the best defensive centers, and Rudy Gobert stole the show. Thanks, Colin, for the
We're still waiting for Alex
text.
for this call.
Okay, guys, we're giving.
All right, we're gonna give it. What time is it?
Before we hang up.
He's watching at school. Why are you at school, Colin?
He's probably.
Oh, he works here. He has a job here.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyways, guys, I think we're gonna sign off.
Hold on, what's funny? I'm looking at Draymond Green. So 100 people vote
Alex
for
is
the defensive
calling
teams,
right
or is
now.
it only 99? Because Draymond Green got 99 first-place votes and no second-place votes.
Yeah, Draymond Green's
So
really
I really
good.
hope that 100 people voted and one person was just like, no, and didn't do it.
Didn't get that vote.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Alex Schley. We are ending this broadcast.
We can still...
Buffy going to vie for a friend to call in?
Fly's at work, but she's watching you guys live at work.
Thank you, Alex
Okay,
Schley.
thanks, Alex Schley, for watching.
Call us next week.
Sorry,
whenever
if we have it next week.
But thank
I
you.
thought we were going to do Thursdays a lot, but then we didn't do Thursday or Friday.
Instead.
Is Monday, I think? I feel like that's
Let's do
such
Monday. Let's do Monday.
cruddy.
Guys. Tune in every Monday.
Things happen on the weekend.
I guess.
Yeah.
Tune in every Monday to
All right,
C109
fine,
the Sports
Mondays.
Hub on the Education Channel.
At 1:15.
Channel.
We'll do around 1 whenever we get up.
Yeah. So we'll make we'll make 1:15 our official start time. Anywhere, give or take a few minutes.
Give or take like 2 hours.
Channel 2 on. I don't remember the channel numbers.
And we're also
Channel 9 on Comcast and 40 something on Verizon.
And
I don't know.
live stream it.
hit menu or guide and
Anyways.
flick through until you see public access.
That's it for us today, folks.
Thanks to all for watching. Is that how we're ending it?
I think that's how we're going to
end it.
Close our laptops.
Bye-bye. I'm just going to turn our things down.